in the chitas of tonight. Ki chelek Hashem Amma Yaakov nach Chevel nachlosei. Im tzei beretz midbar v'soy yelel yishimen yisei levenu yiveineneu v'tzenenu ki yishenenei. We're talking about the Eden, and Rashi holds we're talking about compliments. It was an important Rashi. I forgot. I was thinking of doing this tonight. I can't believe it. Pasuk Zayin is Binu Shnois Dor V'Dor is about the Dor Enush that the Eibishter made that the Meyu Kionos, the ocean, took a third of the world and flooded the third of the world.
That's to do with these days.
That's to do with these days. I was planning to do this Rashi and I went out of my head.
Because of the hurricane?
Yeah, I forgot. 2 weeks ago I said, we're going to get this week. I'm doing this Rashi. Because there's a nice view on this. Okay, let's. So it's actually, according to Rashi, this is all a compliment to the Jews. That if you'll ask the older people, they'll tell you a third of the world was flooded with floods. Why did God not flood and kill every single human being in this world? When he killed out people in this world, so Yatzav Gulas Amim, he made that there should still be people that are alive, Lemisper B'nai Yisrael, for the Jews to be able to survive. So Rashi, who holds that this whole parsha is talking about the compliments for the Jews, continues to talk about how this is complementary to the Jews. For example, if you look in the bottom of the Klioka, it says this is a rebuke for the Jews. But Rashi goes with his opinion, this is all a compliment for the Jews. So it says, Kechelek Hashem Yaakov ner chevel nachlosei, that Chelek Hashem Amai, that who is God's portion, his nation. Yaakov chevel nachalosa. Yaakov is a chevel. What's a chevel? What is a chevel? So in today's Hebrew, you know what a chevel is. Well, you don't know what a chevel is. A chevel is a rope.
But rope made from few ropes. Rope.
And that's what's Rashi going to say. But you say, why does Rashi have to explain it? So the kid that was lived in Troyes in 1100 didn't know modern day Hebrew. You know what? Modern day Hebrew wasn't invented yet. It was about 900 years off the mark. And in Lashon Kodesh, what does the word chevel mean? It could mean several things. There's three opinions what chevel means, and all three are true, and it depends what the context is. And the question is, what does it mean here? Chevel could mean a rope. Chevel, that could mean a portion. Yeah. It also could mean a lot, a girdle. So maybe it means more things, like you said, chevle leda. It could mean many things. What does Rashi say? What does it mean? It means a rope. Look at Rashi. Why did he do all these miracles? That human beings were deserved to be wiped out altogether, but he made that some nations should stay. Because his portion was still among the nations, and they were going to come out. Who is his portion? His nation. Mihu Amai, who is his nation? Yaakov Chevel Nachalosai. Jacob, who is the inheritance of God, and he's a Chevel, he's like a rope. Who Ashlishi Be'avis is the third of the Avis, and Meshuldash B'Shal Zechuyas, who is triple in the Zechuyas, Zechus Aviyaviv, Zechus of his father's father, Zechus Aviv, Zechus of his father, Zechus of his Zechus. Adi Sholosh, this is three. Kachevel Azeh, like a rope, Shuasa Begimel Gedilim, with three strands. Apparently, in the days of Rashi, the average, if you said this to a kid, he understood, the average rope had three strands to it. So this is the Avram, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov. Hu vonav hoyu loy lanachla. V'lo Yishmael ben Avram, v'lo Esav ben Noishel Yitzchak. So the question is, what is bothering Rashi? That Rashi has to say this. So it could be that the child doesn't know that a chevel in Hebrew means a rope. As I said, they didn't know Hebrew. They spoke French. They spoke Yiddish. And who says chevel means a rope? So Rashi says it means a rope. But Rashi, first of all, why does Rashi? There's several opinions in the Sifrei, and if you this whole Hazinu is like a song. Usually with a song, things are repetitive, like you say over things for emphasis. You double things, and you use words just to drive home a point. So the sifrei, one pshat in the sifrei is kechelek Hashem Akev, Amo Yaakov Chevel Achalosei. Chevel means a chelek. It's just a different word, because you want to drive home the point that the Jews are the Eibish's chelek. What's wrong with that pshat? Why does Rashi not? Or the Targum says Adav. Adav means a goydel. What's wrong with that pshat? They're God's goydel. They're God's lot. Why did Rashi pick this pshat? So the Rebbe says you have to look at the next pasuk and then look at the next Rashi. You'll understand, because the context of the psukim is what told Rashi the pshat. Next Rashi is next pasuk. Yimtze'eu be'eretz midbar. He found the Jewish people in the midbar. V'soyu yelel yishimai. He found them in a place of soyu. You know what soyu is? Toyu vavoyu. First pasuk. Yelel yishimai. It's a place where the snakes they howl, they scream at night. Yisei David surrounded the Jewish people. He guarded them like the apple of his eye. So Rashi says, midbar. He found that the Jews were faithful to him in the midbar. They accepted the Torah, and his kingdom, and his yoke. Yishmael and Esav didn't do that. When Chumash today's Chitas Posek Yud. So, in other words, what's Rashi saying? If we were talking about Yaakov Avinu, what does it mean? Yimtze'eu be'eretz midbar. Not talking about Yaakov Avinu, obviously. Yaakov Avinu wasn't Yimtze'eu be'eretz midbar. And if we're saying that the Jews are already his lot, so what does it have to do? Even we're talking about the Jews. So what's Yimtze'eu be'eretz midbar? So Rashi is saying that the only people he found that will take his Torah in the midbar are the Jewish people, and because Chazal tell us that before the Eibishter gave the Torah, he came to every single nation, and he offered them the Torah, and they looked around. They said, if you can delete. The Eibishter says no delete, they said no delete, no deal. Yeah, each one wanted to delete something. The Eibishter said no delete, no deal. The Yidden are the only ones that took the Torah. Therefore, Rashi says that this pasuk and next pasuk has to continue. What's the pshat? Yaakov chevel nachalosoi. Just like a rope is, if you have just a little string, it's not. What makes if you have a boat, it has tons and tons, thousands of tons, maybe millions of tons of your weight of cargo. You have to pull it in. You take a rope. You're not going to take a little rope like this that sits over here. You're going to take a rope that has thousands of little strings, because that makes it strong. So the same thing. The nations of the world didn't accept the Torah. They weren't faithful. They couldn't accept Hashem's yoke, because even if they had yichus, Yishmael had yichus. He had a great father, but that rope could easily rip.
Even then he has a Brit.
Yeah, but it's only one. Yeah. It's only one. Esav, the people of Edom, they had a rope that had two strands. They had Avraham Avinu and Yitzchak Avinu. But still, that wasn't powerful enough. But the Yidden, they were Yaakov Chevel Nachlosei. They had a rope which had Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. So this was a rope that was a strong rope. So therefore, that held them tight. And therefore, they had the courage to be faithful to Hashem. And therefore, Yimtze'eu be'eretz midbar, they were the only ones that accepted Hashem's yoke in the desert. And therefore, as a reward, Yisei v'venu, the Eibishter surrounded them, as Rashi says, with the Anania Kovid, and so on. And they became the apple of his eye. So then now you understand why Rashi teaches Chevel, why out of all the pshatim, why Chevel means a rope, and what's bothering Rashi, and what Rashi is trying to tell us. Because this is the hemshech of what these two psukim are telling us. L'shitosa shel Rashi, that everything that's going on over here is a complement to Bnei Yisrael. So they were saying, Chelik Hashem Amoy, they were always the Eibish's Chelik. But the second thing is that Yaakov Chevel Nachlosei, their yichas, they're very strong. There's something strong in them that keeps them tied up, harnessed up. The other nations, even if they had yichis, they were able to fall. Yishmael fell flat. Even Esav fell. But the Eden, they were strong and faithful to Hashem because they came from a good yichus, a good lineage. They had a rope, that rope that has 3 strands that held them tight. So that brings us to the discussion we had last night at the Fabrengen. This is a sicha from the Rebbe. This is that I just told you. But now I just want to just.
He connects it to the Tanya.
No, the Rebbe doesn't connect the Tanya. The Rebbe says ten lechochem v'yech kam oid. So the Tanya in the Igeres HaTshuva, there's the whole thing is about the rope. He says that why is it? The Alter Rebbe asks. We discussed it last night. He starts a Perek in Tanya in Igeres HaTshuva. He starts the question in Perek 1 and he finally gives the answer in Perek 6, 7. You're still holding Lamed Bed in the first chapter of Tanya. There's 5 parts of Tanya. This is again, it's a tshuva.
Okay.
So
we didn't start.
You didn't start. You're gonna get there. All right, you're going good.
2 years almost.
Yeah, no, you're moving. Now the Rebbe asks, why is it that there's such wicked people that live a good life? The Torah says that a person who killed someone else will die. If the Bezin doesn't kill them, they'll die misa v'dei shamayim. Other sins is koris. The Eibishter will take care of him. It means he's going to die by 50 or by 60. We see nasty people, killers, murderers, and they live a good, sweet, long life. How come? Okay, but still, and the Torah says they're dying at 50 or 60. We see them walking around at 70, 80.
Because they get the sicha for the in this.
Okay, that's not the answer the Alter Rebbe gives. The Alter Rebbe gives a different answer. The Alter Rebbe says, how does a person live? The neshama is like a rope, like it says here in the pasuk. Neshama is a rope. Why does the neshama have to be like a rope? Because the neshama that shines in the body, that sustains the body, is the bottom end of the rope. That the higher end of the rope is harnessed to the high part of the neshama, which is not revealed in the body. What are this? Every rope has 613 strands. These are the mitzvahs that keep the person connected to their neshama. So what happens throughout the year, a little bit, you cut here, you cut a little here, you cut a little here, the rope gets compromised. This world is like we're hanging off a cliff. If you're hanging off a cliff, you have a harness, you're hanging up a rope, your whole life is from that rope. If someone cuts that rope, you go flying, that's it. So what happens if you get a little cut here, a little cut there? What are you supposed to do? You have to strengthen the rope. That's why the Gemara says, that a person that used to have this amount of learning, and this year he slacked off, and now he does do tshuva. What does he do? He said, make it easier. You took too much upon yourself. So take half the amount, and then you'll be good. No, I say just the opposite. Now you should do double, and that's going to be tshuva. Why? Says the Alter Rebbe, because you compromised. If you have a string, and you notice at one point in the string that they got a little weak. What do? You you make a knot, and that at the exact spot, and you tighten it. Because that spot has been compromised, if you make a knot, then it's going to stand strong. So that's what Chazal say. A little bit cut at the edge of your neshama rope, and a rope that's holding up the neshama in here, and your harness is hanging on the rope, and the rope is anchored up there. Now we realize that before Rosh Hashanah that the rope is a little compromised. So what do? I had this year, my problem was I wasn't short fuses maybe. I wasn't kind to people. Now this year I'll be double kind. This year I'll give double tzedakah. This year I'll do double avodas at tefillah. This year I'll be double in midas toivus. Whatever it is that I know is my issue, I do double for this year. That's a double knot. That's the pshat. That's what the Chazal say. That whatever tshuva is, if I did the thing, if I yeshana perek, yishna shnei parakim.
But you have to realize what's your weakness before everything else.
You look at the rope, you see which part is ripped. So it says the Alter Rebbe, this is only in the time of the Beis Hamikdash. In the time of the Beis Hamikdash, a person's chayis, their physical sustenance, only came from holiness. So therefore, if a person, God forbid, in a sin which is Rachmana litzlan lo tirtzach, if a person was chas v'shalom killed someone, that cut his neshama completely. That cut the rope 100%. It was like taking a knife, cutting the whole thing. So if a person is hanging off a cliff, and you take the rope, cut it, what happens? It falls. So let me ask you a question. While the guy is flying off, he's not dead yet. But is he? But is he alive? He's a dead man flying. He's going to be dead in a few seconds. It's a garnish. It's only a question of time. When he hits the bottom, he's going to die. So this person, in the days of the Beis Hamikdash, who did such a sin, that cut his neshama in his body off from the neshama in heaven, he couldn't live past 50 or 60. It was not possible. Yeah, as he's flying down, he could live for a little more. But he's going to be dead at 50 or at 60, no questions. No shaykh, no. He can take the best medicines, he can exercise, he can krich, he can do whatever he wants. He's going to be dead on impact. That's in the times of the Beis Hamikdash. What happens was Manazeh, that a person could get chayas, could get sustenance, not directly from holiness. He can get it from a place which is unholy. Instead of plugging into holiness, he can plug in somewhere else to unholy. In time of Beis Hamikdash, it wasn't possible. If you were a Jew, your material, physical sustenance can only come from the neshama. And the neshama is only alive if the neshama is connected to the neshama in heaven like a rope. If it was cut, physically the person would die at 50, at 60. It was a oisamoifis. That was the fact. People died at 50 and 60. And that the Talmud says that Rabbi Yosef, he made a big suda, he lived past 60, people died. Because that was it was dead on impact. But after there's a Churban Beis Hamikdash and Jews are in Golos, it's possible that a person shouldn't get his chayas directly from Kedusha.
Is it coming from Tumah?
Coming from Tumah. The story I told last night, Moedik, a story from the Mendel at a Dokir. That Tzemach Tzedek said a story that there was a person and that was very close to the Mendel at a Dokir, and the Mendel told him, I want you to be very careful. The clippers they want to get you're a good guy, they want to get you. But he didn't care to what he didn't pay attention. One day he was a moyel, and one day someone came to his house. They said there's a bris to do in the other town. You want to come? No, he grabbed his bag, he got on the wagon, and as on the way he realized that he doesn't recognize the road, that they're going in the wrong direction. Fisio, what can he do? Fafalm, as they say. So finally they're going in the forest, they're going for hours, they finally get to a place. There's one house, a gorgeous house, a mansion. Bring him into the house, and they bring him into the bedroom where there's the woman with the baby. She check the baby. If they check the baby, if they can do the bris, people walk out, the privacy. And the woman tells him, you know where you are? You're in a place of danger. I was captured many years ago, forced me to marry the head of this group. But you should know that you're in very big danger. I have one eitzah for you. If you want to get out from this place, you shouldn't eat anything. Don't touch a thing. They offer you food, don't touch anything. Okay, so he walked out of the room. He came out, there was a big table, and it was bringing out food, delicious foods from the kitchen. Tam Ganed. And they sat him down at the table, of Achtnach, they're saying Divrei Torah, and they say, no, you eat something, and want to give him l'chaim, they want to give him something to eat. Every excuse he could think of. He's fasting, he's not hungry, but they're begging him, it's a mitzvah. He's not eating. In the morning, it's the bris. After the bris, they sat him down at the head table, and people were coming. The place was swarmed full of people and delicious foods. They said, "What, you don't trust our kosher?" He said, "No, the kosher is good, but his stomach is talking to him. He's so hungry, but he's terrified that he can be stuck in this place." After the bris is finally over, he says, "Okay, can I be taken home?" They said, "Sure, no problem." And he went back home. He went running to the house of his Rebbe, the Mendel of Vitebsk, and at the door they told him that the Mendel said he should go. Suru Tome, that he's defiled. He was brokenhearted. He asked his friends who were close to the Mendel to intercede for him, to talk to him. Finally, the Mendel agreed they should come see the Mendel. And the Mendel said, "I told you to be careful, and you didn't pay attention. And now they're going to come back for you. And you should know that all night I couldn't close an eye. I was davening for you all night that you should come out alive. But since they're going to come back to you, I'll give you an eitzah what to do. The eitzah is that when you come there, you should tell them that they're all nothing. If you keep on insisting that they're garnished, that you don't think that they're worth anything, that they have any power, you tell them they're nothing, then there's hope you're going to come out alive." So a short time later, the same wagon shows up at his house. "We'd like you to come visit us." Well, no problem. Jumps on. He gets to the same house in the middle of the forest, and as soon as he gets off the wagon, he turns to the wagon driver. He says, "You are nothing." He says, "What?" He says, he turns to everyone, that you guys are nothing. You are powerless, you're meaningless, you're weaklings, you're nothing. They said, "Oh yeah? We're going to take you to our leader. You'll tell him this nusach." So they brought him into the house, they brought him to the leader. The leader says, "What? What did you say?" He says, he points to him, he says, "You're nothing." He says, "We're nothing? Fellows, let's show this guy who we are." So they opened up their mouths and fire came out of their mouths. He could feel it on his skin. The mamash came close to him. And they kept on doing tricks. Animals were flying in the air and it stunk and they were crawling on the walls. But he kept on saying, "You guys are nothing. Gornish, you have no power, you're nothing." And he noticed something remarkable. As the tricks kept on going, the fireworks were going on, but there seemed to be there's always less people in the room. There's getting less and less people. Finally, the leader sees that this guy is insisting, that he's not backing down. He keeps on saying they're all nothing, they're meaningless, they're nothing. He says, what gives you this thought that we're nothing? He said, "Well, I am connected to the Emes Tzaddik, the Menachem Mendel of Vitebsk." He said, "Oh yeah? You're connected to a tzaddik?" He says to one of his guys, "Listen, you go to the library, bring me the books." He says, "I have books of all the names of all the tzaddikim. If I catch that your tzaddik is in one of my books, you're here eternally. But if the name of your tzaddik doesn't appear in my books, then I have no dominion over you. I can't do anything. You're free to go." They brought the books. They were looking. He says, what's his name? Menachem Mendel of Vitebsk. And we know that Menachem Mendel of Vitebsk, when he first came to the Maggid, he was very young. And the older tzaddikim, Pinchas, the Baal Afloa and Abshmelke and other tzaddikim, they looked at, they said, "Who is this shnuk? He came in dressed with fancy European clothing." And they said to the Maggid, "This guy has got flying from this place. Who does this guy think he is?" The Maggid said that there was once a king. The king had a treasure. Everyone was out to get this treasure. He had the safe, and he had Anshe Chayil, he had security guards. But he knew that they're coming for his treasure. He couldn't figure out where's he going to put the treasure that'll be guarded. Finally, he realized behind the palace there were the stables. There were piles and piles of dung. He hid the treasure under the dung. No one's going to go looking for it there. So he said that this guy, his humility is unbelievable. So where does he hide it? He hides it in his fancy clothing. He walks around as if he's a big balgaiva, and in there he hides his bittul. That's the story of the Menachem Mendel of Vitebsk. So back to our story with the Moil. So they asked him, well, what's the name of your tzaddik? He said, Menachem Mendel of Vitebsk. They're looking in the books, and they're looking and looking. Can't find the name. So he said, can't find the name. We gotta let you go. So they sent him back with the same wagon. He came back to the Mendel, and the Mendel kissed that was already waiting for him with a smile, and he let him into his house. So we see, I love this story because there's a few nakudas in the story. I love the story because a few nakudas. The first nakuda is sometimes it's hard to say to the challenges we have that really are nothing, because they're not nothing. The challenges that we have, the demons that are chasing us, the demons that are chasing me are nothing to you, but to me they're something. To you it's a joke, like I'm telling you a story that someone's throwing fire as a Baba Maisa, but to you it's a Baba Maisa. To me it's an issue I got to deal with. So, but the truth is that when a Yid that has the courage and says to his challenges that you're nothing, because the truth is they are nothing, Klippa is nothing. And when a Yid is connected to a tzaddik, he gets that extra power to talk to the Klippas with that audacity to say you're nothing. We have demons that chase. Everyone has their own demons that chase us. Because if you don't, you're not in this Olam Hazeh. Everyone has
the biggest one. Yetzer Hara. He's the biggest.
I'm talking about
everybody.
They dress us up in different costumes.
Yeah.
So each one of us has an Yetzer Hara with a different costume, or multiple ones. But when you keep on saying, if you're insisting you're nothing, you keep on saying you're nothing, you know what? They diminish. They get less and less and less. But we have to be strong, and we have to insist that you're nothing. And the other thing we got to do is we got to go to the oil from time to time and daven. Because when we daven by a tzaddik, it's not that we're davening to another person and say, you know what? You do me a favor. You talk on my behalf too. That's avodah zarah chas v'shalom. We talk directly to God. We don't need other people to intercede for us. When we go to tzaddik, it's because our neshama and the neshama of the tzaddik is really one. It's like that you could say the hand should talk directly to God. The mouth should talk to God. The hand has an ache in the hand. He has a back pain, let the back talk. The mouth talks for the back, and for the hand, and for the toes. The tzaddik is connected to us. He is part of our neshama. So in Mela, we daven, and we ask the tzaddik to give us the courage to talk to these Yetzer Haras that are chasing us, to tell them that they're nothing. And when we say that with absolute conviction that they're nothing, they really diminish and they become nothing. So that's the pshat, that Yid is like a rope. In the time of the Beis HaMikdash, the chayas of a person only came from his neshama in heaven. So if a person got cut off, he wasn't going to live. And therefore Chazal say that a person that does even small sins, but he does it again and again, that could also have an effect like a terrible sin. Why? Because you keep on cutting little strands. So if you have a big, thick rope, but you keep on cutting in this and here, and you cut here. But eventually, you're going to compromise the rope. So that happened in the time of the Beis HaMikdash. Now, after the Beis HaMikdash, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just that after the Beis HaMikdash, a person could choose. Instead of his chayas should be directly from his neshama, it should come to him through the klipa. Obviously, everything comes from God, but God made it that there should be such a thing called klipa, unholy. And if you deserve, you don't deserve, they make no difference. On the contrary, if you sin, they like you better. They wanted you to sin. They're your best buddy if you sin. Eventually, they might spit you out. That's another issue. But Jews come to a country. The country wants to take in the Jews. They want to make them into sinners. It's gavaldik for them. It gives them a lot of chayas. Eventually, what happens is another story. But sure, the klipa is willing to give chayas to a Jew. So therefore, that's what happens. That's what the Alter Rebbe says. That's why we have wicked people that live a long, long life. They could live past 50 and 60, even though they're chayiv kodesh and misa b'dei shamayim. Because after Churban Beis Hamikdash, it's possible that a Yid, even though Yaakov Chevel Nachaloso, he's like a rope, and he's tied to the harness in heaven. So when he cuts off, he can decide to get the chayis from Klippa, and that's how he could live. Rachmana litzlan, what kind of life that is.
It's a big discussion for years and years why it's Tzaddik, Veralo, Rasha, B'Tov. That's exactly what he's saying.
What does that? Yeah. So, one nakuda that comes out of the whole story is, and a very important nakuda. It doesn't matter what the reason is. The fact is, if a person's still alive and there's a pulse, a person can still do tshuva. True, it's a terrible thing that a Jew could live this way in Golus, and it's not a natural state of life. But the fact is that as long as there's a pulse, a Jew can do tshuva. So that's a certain advantage that we have today, that even if a person is a terrible balaveda and he cut off the chevel nachlosei, he cut off his neshama, so maybe his life is a miserable life because really he's getting his chayis from klippa, but he could do tshuva, and he can make that double knot. And when you make that double knot, it's not only you're tied again to neshama, but to forget it, you're tied in a stronger way.
I mean, I don't know if it's maybe so relevant, but one question on the story. Why would a Shindalad, or whatever this klipa, why would that have dominion over Tzaddikim?
I guess we learned in the Gemara last week on Tuesday that there are sometimes, the Gemara says, there's a tzaddik that davens and his feel is so powerful that if there's no rain, it can start raining. But then he feels gaiva, that look what I did, I'm a big guy. And that's a terrible thing when that happens. So that's obviously what he meant. Anyone that's in my books means that they're tzidkis, but then they know they're tzidkis. So as soon as they know they're tzidkis, they get into those books. But the Mendel of Vitebsk was very humble, so it wasn't possible for him to get into those books.
You said that the rope is tied twice, the place where it's weak. I was thinking, Yesovevenu. Right? So what you have over there, the two bays. And then you have one in Ehud, you have two Nun. With the Shem
Double.
Dafka the Shem Ban, which is the strongest one, you have double.
זה ישן?
It's Yesovevenu.
And you burn in EU.
No, the times.
Okay, shkoyach.
Maybe.
Sound good.
We have the pasuk. Where is it? Hachut hameshula.
Chut HaMeshula, Shloi b'mehedi yenote.
What's that? Mishlei, I guess. I'm just guessing. I don't know where.
That's Abba Mitzvah Yaakov.
It's a Mishnah or Kehelis, it's one of them.
It's in Kehelis.
Chut HaMeshula.
Yeah, it sounds like Kehelis. So that's the we say Amat Lisa, right?
Right.
The Torah, that's the three, like the Jews are something with three.
Koy Levi Yisrael.
Yeah,
Shalosh.
yeah, three. So that's what's the keeping us.
Chut HaMeshula. Where's the Chut HaMeshula? The pasuk. Pasuk Chut HaMeshula is Kehelis. Dalad Yud Beis. Chut HaMeshula, yeah. Chut HaMeshula Shloi b'mehedi yenotek. Kechevel hazeh she'osa begimel gedilim. That's what Rashi says. What you just said is a great raya to what Rashi says. Rashi doesn't bring this, but this is you came a little late. So we're talking about Rashi. Rashi says that the Jews are tied with a harness and a double on a rope that has three parts to it. Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. But that's really what it says in the pasuk. V'achut hameshula shloi b'mehedi yenotek. That a rope that has three parts doesn't get. So Mamela, they shall help them that we should all that we should have a. We should be tied strong to this chut HaMeshulish, and we should feel the chayes coming down from our neshama. It should shine up in Sai in our guf, and Sai in everything, our families and all the people around us. It should be so nicker that the chayes of our neshama is shining in us.
Amen.
So we have a few minutes. There's a very nice, sicha about the kriyas of this year. And if you look in the Poskim and Shulchan Aruch, every year has a simon. Siman Tov Chov Beis in Oir HaChaim and the Beis Yosef, every year has a siman. So the siman is there's three basic parts to the siman. When a person wants to know about the year, and they have fancy calendars, you get today in the calendars, you get it for stock organizations, you can get a pick of one of 12 calendars that you want to keep on your desk. Keep one here, one there, Machaya calendars, but the Yidden didn't have that much calendars, so there was a siman in the beginning of the year, so you remember the basic thing that's important to know. If you remember that siman, you basically remember what you need to know for that year. So, what's the first day of Rosh Hashanah? You got to know that, because from there you can already do the rest of Tishrei. And what's the first day of Pesach? From there you get the Shavuos. And then the middle siman is what is that year? There's three types of years. There's a year which is a chaseda, a shleima, and a kesidron. So kesidron means, like this year is going to be kesidron. It means that every month it's like clockwork. Molei choseh, molei choseh, molei choseh, molei choseh, molei choseh. 1 month is 29 days, 30, 29, 30, 29, 30, 29, 30. You could do the calendar very easy. That, you know, there's 29, 30. You know, from every month follows this other month. Then there is chaseda. Chaseda means that Cheshvan and Kislev are both 29 days. Then you have a shleima. A shleima is a year where Kislev and Cheshvan are both 30 days. This is all to equalize the calendar. And obviously these three things are all we're talking about in a year which is a regular year. So, in order to equalize the calendar, that's, you know, so we have some years which are Shlema, some are Chaseda, and some is Kesidra. Okay, so the siman of this year as brought in Shulchan Aruch, the siman of this year is Hakuz. Hakuz, the jug. Hey is for Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is on Thursday. The last is Zion. Zion is Pesach. Pesach is going to be on Shabbos. Hippity-doo for the Seder.
Why didn't I be the first day of Seder?
Yeah. It's, you have to remember to do everything before. You can't forget to do the eggs out of Yom Tov. Right, I'm saying. I think the best kvias is when Erev Pesach is on Shabbos. Everyone's rested for the Seder.
The problem is you have to daven early in the morning to finish eating before.
We also have to daven very now.
Yeah, some people like that.
Well, yeah.
Once a year.
So, anyway, this year it's Shabbos, so Hey and Zion, and in the middle is a Chof, because this year is Kesidra. So, the Rebbe was very into this thing that even though the Torah is full of simonim, there's always this concept of a simon. Because to us, everything is printed. And if it's not printed, you forget, you get onto the computer, you put in a code word, you put in a main word, you press search, you find it. Never mind, Zmanim. In general, everything. But the Talmud is full of simonim. If the Gemara is going to have 6 Toshmas, the Gemara will have a simon to remember the order of the 6 Toshmas. Or this year, so how are you going to remember? So say Hakuz, this is the year of the jar. Oh, Hakuz, you remember, a jar. Hey, because always the first letter is the first day of Rosh Hashanah, the last letter is the first day of Pesach, and the middle is the order of the year. The year basically starts with Rosh Hashanah, Pesach is towards the end, and the middle is the letter is how the months will go. So Hakuz means the first day is of Rosh Hashanah is on a Thursday, Zion is there, and the middle is Chof Kesidra. But there has to be something deeper to it because it's part of Torah.
This year being the one that alternates evenly.
Yeah, Kesidra alternates evenly, exactly. So the Rebbe has a pshat and avodas Hashem. I remember one year, maybe it was Tov Shenu 1990, the Rebbe said that the Rosh Yeshivas give beautiful shiurim, but they always miss out on no Rosh Yeshiva ever gave a shiur on the Simonim and the Gemara. There's a simon. There's a Gemara has a lot of times simon. The yeshiva should also, every part of Torah is a part of Torah. It should also give shiurim on the simonim. I remember all the Lubavitch yeshivas, every Rosh Yeshiva tried to say something. What can you say about a simon, the Gemara? What can the shir, a gavra, a chefza, what can you say? What can the yeshiva should think? Can you bring it, what can you say in a simon?
They skipped the Agaritas too, so of course they're going to skip it.
Yeah, but what can you say already? Agaritas, you can say a lot. What can you say in a simon? But the Rebbe, that was the Rebbe's mahalach. Everything in Torah is true. Torah is emes. So the Rebbe said like this: Pshat. Chof is kesidron. There's in Avodas Hashem. There is avodah of tzaddikim bal shuva. Tzaddikim is tamidim kesidron, the steady way of doing avodas Hashem. Bal shuva is jump over the moon. It's a person was one way and he changed completely, a radical change. It's musafim kilchosim. There are years which are cheseda, missing, so because the next year has to be shlema to make up for it. That's the balei tshuva. Then there are years kesidron, clockwork. Shachris man chamaidev. He's learning Gemara. He's a nice, he's fine, nice guy all around. Okay, so that's tzaddikim. We need to get the two milas fused together. We need that the Gemara says, the Zoya says that the Eibush is going to send Mashiach. Osal asavat tzaddikai v'tiyufta. Mashiach will get the tzaddikim to do tshuva. On the other hand, the Balei Tshuva are going to get the mile of tzaddikim. So the question is, which is the dominant one? If the tzaddik going to do tshuva, or the Balei Tshuva is going to have the mile of tzaddik? So this year, Chof is Meram is true that we have both avodas together. And both avodas together means that because the calendar is always trying to straighten each other out. It says, but in what's dominant? Avodas tzaddik, Chof. So therefore, we start with a Hey and we finish with a Zayin. What's Hey? Hey is the 5th day of the week. The Gemara says only one day got a brocha, which is the 5th day of the week. Because the Eibush created fish the 5th day of the week, and people fish all the time, and their job is to populate the ocean. So the Eibush gave them a special brocha because they how many eggs come out, fish they have. So the Pru goes for the brocha for the creation of day 5. So Haste is day 5, there's a special brocha. So when we go into the year on day 5, so there is a special brocha. There is a sefer called Shivche Baal Shem Tov, beautiful stories of the Baal Shem Tov. There is a tradition in Chabad that the author of that book, because there's a lot of books about the Baal Shem Tov, and some of them are stories that are totally off the wall. It is a tradition because it became a moneymaker to make stories of the Baal Shem Tov. But this book, Shivche Baal Shem Tov, is considered a reliable book. According to tradition, the author of the book heard these stories from the Alter Rebbe himself, and therefore Chabad in a lot of the Maimonim bring stories from Shivche Baal Shem Tov. In the beginning, tells a story that the Baal Shem Tov was a little boy and his father was about to die, and his father called him over, and his father told him that you should never be scared of anything in this world. You should only be scared of the Rebbeinu Shalom. After that, his father died. And Mamela, he was never scared. He used to go into the forest, and there were animals there, but he wasn't scared of the animals. He was only scared of the Rebbeinu Shalom. He used to like to go out in a quiet place of nature, and that's where he met a tzaddik nister, and he started learning with the tzaddik nister. So, and that was the beginning of the journey of the Baal Shem Tov. So V'meila, when a Yid starts the year with a special bracha from the Eibishter, it means a Yid has to go into the year and bring Kedusha into this year, make a Dira B'tachtonim in this year. It starts with a special bracha. There's a lot of challenges, just like the fish. The Eibishter gives a special bracha. That's Hey. Hey is a special bracha. And that's the beginning of the year. And what's the tachlis of the whole year? What's the tachlis is Shabbos. Yom Shekula Shabbos Amanucha. The coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu, Shabbos, and in general, that's Zayin. That's Zayin.
The last letter.
Hakuz. Hey, Chav Zayin. Hey is the first day of Rosh Hashanah. B'yom Hey, which has a special bracha. The Seder of the year is Avodas Tzadikim, and then the Tachlis of the year is to get to Mashiach Tzidkenu, which is Zayin Yom Shekul Shabbos Amanucha. And it's interesting that Pesach, which is the time of freedom, this year starts with Shabbos, which the Alter Rebbe has a mimer. It says that Kisavoy La'aretz, when you come into Eretz Yisrael, B'shav Sa'aretz Shabbos L'Shem, you should rest, you should have Shabbos. And then the pasuk says, Sheishonim Tizrash Tzodecha v'Sheishonim Tizma Karmecha. The Alter Rebbe asks, you don't start with Shabbos, you start with 6 days, 6 years, then you get to Shabbos. Why does it start with Shav Sa'aretz Shabbos L'Shem? Because when you go to Eretz Yisrael, you have to know the purpose of everything is to get to Shabbos. You have to go right away knowing that the Tachlis is Shabbos. Tachlis is Shabbos. So therefore, also this year, there's an interesting thing where the Pesach starts in Shabbos. So the Chedus starts right away with Shabbos. Also the Kfiyus of this year is that the first day after Rosh Hashanah, we have Rosh Hashanah is on Thursday and Friday. What's the first?
By the way, we're going to Shabbos.
Otazeh. So that's like right away Kisavoyu. We come into the year right away. Shav Sa'aretz Shabbos L'Shem. We right away start with Dinu Shabbos, which is interesting. This year we get like a double nitcha. Tzum Gedalia, according to many Rishonim, really, it's brought in Shulchan Aruch in the Tur. Tzum Gedalia really is a nitcha to begin with, because he was killed on Rosh Hashanah, according to some opinions.
So it's nitcha should be nitcha already completely.
You got it, Shmulik.
This year, maybe.
So it's a double nitcha. Atazai. It has the koyach to be nitcha legamri. Atazai. David shall help him that this year we should have a kuz. It should be a hay, special bracha. It should be kasidron. We should go steady up in avodas Hashem. And we should be zeicha to get into the Zion, to the real Chag HaCherus, and Yom Shekula Shabbos HaMenucha.
Amen.